boys and girls. Here we are, the four outdoorsmen on the AliveAndSocial.com network. Thanks for jumping in and grabbing the podcast. I'm Zepp. We got our producer, and he's so much more than that. He's just a sick son of a gun. Mark Lukey with us tonight.
He's a man of many talents. I don't just call him a producer. I mean, actor, Hurley, the UP. He's got a lot of special talents.
Cat herder with you guys.
Cat herder.
For sure, cat herding.
Birch whisper.
And the one and only, the man who not only talks the talk, but walks the walk, Boomer. Strew is not with us tonight, but we're going to get our healthy dose of Strew. Instead of Strew sitting in his seat is a much finer version of Strew. Nicole Jacobs is with us
Strew
here
grew
tonight.
out his hair.
This is the first time Nicole's joined us for the Four Outdoorsmen. We've talked to her before. We've had her on the show. But as far as the podcast thing goes, this is the first time we've had Nicole Jacobs in. So, Nicole, we should introduce you a little bit. You won the 2015 Pro Tournament Bass World Championship.
$500,000
Yeah.
in the FLW, right?
Pretty amazing.
I only
A
wish.
Cinderella story.
Right.
That was Brad Knight.
Came out of nowhere. But it was great to have you in, Nicole. I know
you for
that
having me.
I know you kind of want to chill tonight and see what it is we're doing
I
here.
was
but
just coming to watch y'all
I know, but
and
you
support Boomer.
You had to know with this cast of characters that you were going to get picked on a little bit.
Yes.
I tried to warn her
Yeah,
a little
exactly.
bit, but
So, and you're like with everybody else. You're kind of between our seasons here. Open water has wrapped up for all practical
Except on the
purposes.
river.
Except
There's
on
some
the
river fishing.
Yeah, absolutely. Those river rats are out there, still getting it done. And who knows? They might be out there long after the hard water season starts. Speaking of the hard water season, the Ice Expo this weekend at the St. Paul River Center over there with all of our big friends and big
world's
shots.
largest
World's largest
ice fishing exhibition.
I'll be headed over there on Saturday myself. We'll have a lot of friends over there as well. So a lot of people getting geared up for that. Not quite the cold weather. Actually, not even close to the cold weather we had last year. But we're starting to make some ice, Boomer.
Yeah, you know what? And I want to give a big shout out to Devil's Lake, who's one of our sponsors. And I've been talking to those folks, and we're really blessed. Later on the show, we're going to have Jason Mitchell from Jason Mitchell Outdoors Television. And you guys know he's a native of Devil's Lake.
Yeah.
But some of those smaller lakes around Devil's Lake that you kind of forget about that have kind of disappeared, but they're sweet spots for catching jumbo perch and walleyes. They've actually got 3 to 5 inches of ice, and some of the bays in Devil's Lake are starting to freeze over now with about 2 to 5 inches of ice. So I'm not necessarily saying go walk out there yet, but I'm saying the ice is starting to happen. I know Mitchell's already posted on Facebook some perch that he's gotten into. So for folks who are looking for an amazing ice fishing adventure, it's time to start booking to get out to Devil's Lake because they have an amazing arrangement of hotels, resorts, lodging, restaurants. And Strew and I are going to be headed out there for a media event. We're crossing our fingers for you, Zepp, to make this one.
December. It's still on my calendar as if I'm making it happen. But I really want to be out there. But, I mean, Boomer, you make a good point. This is, last year there was a scramble because we had so much cold weather so early with those polar vortexes, they were calling them, whatever they were, angels of ice fishing, I called them. But now's the time of the year we're most accustomed to just kind of getting stuff ready. We're
Right.
going to the ice shows. We're getting some stuff ready. We're looking at our winter trips. We're looking at the calendar. Where are we going to book this year?
Yep.
And Devil's Lake is
Definitely.
gotta be on people's radar and a place you want to go.
Yes.
Book a trip
Yes.
and get up to. And of course, we've got some insight with Jason Mitchell. Who better to sort of point you in the right direction when it comes to Devil's Lake? So, so we're in that kind of awkward position where there's some shine on the lake, but we're a long way off from
we're
actually
a long
getting
ways out. And
Good time to go to an ice fishing show.
Yeah,
is.
right, exactly.
Well, and
Well, last year it was weird because you go to an ice fishing show and you could be out ice fishing during the ice fishing show. There's that conundrum. I mean, it just kind of happened in a whirlwind, and you're pulling tackle out and checking rods, but and your tackle and you're getting your stuff out of your bag for the open water season and getting it ready to go for the hard water season. But this year, we're doing what we normally do. We're gradually getting into it.
Well, and the good news is, as you guys can see from outside, the temps are starting to fall down. We're getting to the 30s and in the 20s, and it's not going to be long before we have good ice here in Minnesota, and folks are going to be out there ice fishing. It's amazing when you think about ice fishing. I think it was last year I read something that there's over 8 million ice anglers out there. That's a lot. You think about that, and you think about going to the St. Paul Ice Show. There'll be probably 15 to 25,000 people loaded with all kinds of pros and people that guide and do this for a living. Devil's Lake is going to be out there, so if you want to learn about some of the resorts, some of the lodging, you're going to have Clam, Vexler, all the big names. Dave Gens, the father of ice fishing, and
he'll have his big.
The big poster, right?
Yeah, dome-sized picture of Dave Gens out there. And Dave brings out that Star Wars-looking sled set up with the auger and everything, and his Vexilar and everything on that. Super tricked out.
Our friend Tim Moore is going to be there.
Yeah, Tim Moore Outdoors.
yeah.
Timmy's going to be there fishing with Bernie. He's a guide out in Denver, Colorado. I'll be having dinner with him tomorrow night. John Sibley, fishing with Guy. We went to that trip last year up in the UP of Michigan on Lake Gogebic, where we had some fun out there, and we had 40-mile-an-hour winds, where the first time they had said they actually canceled an ice fishing trip. That kind of follows us around. But
yeah.
I saw him on Jiggy's show Across the Ice Belt.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny seeing him on TV. He's like, yep, fish are biting.
We
Jiggy did about 95% of the talking.
we had him on the.
we should have had his dad on.
Yeah, exactly. His dad could talk up anybody.
Yeah, we had him. I mean, it's with those guys, when you talk about guides like that get on and they're a little bit kind of like that. That's the guy I want to go guiding with.
Yeah,
actually.
exactly.
The guy that keeps the spot
Yeah.
quiet.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Softly and
all
carries a big
he's
stick.
he's super focused on going out and going fishing. So,
But you know what's nice about early ice these days, guys, and you're going to see this when you go to the St. Paul Ice Fishing Show, is, there's been a revolution in technology in ice fishing. You now got like the drill plate or the K drill. You got these electric augers or whatnot. So when you get into this thin ice where you got maybe 5 to 8 inches, and you can use this stuff on thicker ice, it's really light to haul around, and you can hole jump. Or remember when he had Tony Roach on? What did we call it? Ice trolling?
Yeah.
And he kind of move around. Now I'm getting the symbol. Are we calling the big Strew?
We're calling Strewman right now.
All right.
I want to hear more about his golf game. I don't know about you guys.
he ran away from
wonderful.
our winter. He's
Drew?
done, yeah.
Yankee dugout, third base.
Hi, Strew.
Are you placing a bet?
No,
Yankee
no,
dugout
no,
running in the third race. I'll take him in the trifecta. That's Yankee dugout and Strewman and Boomer for the trifecta.
No, I tell you what, one of my buddies here is he likes to gamble a little bit. He knows a lot about the NBA, so he and I placed $20 on Houston in basketball, NBA basketball, to beat somebody by 3.5. I have no idea who's winning what, but yeah, I did place a bet tonight.
3.5's a solid bet on a football. Actually, that's a tough bet on a football game at 3.5. You're giving it away, but yeah, I've never bet on an NBA game, man. Those things are so crazy. A team comes out, they win by 20, they lose by 10 the next night, and I don't know if 3.5 points is a good bet on that or not. So
Yeah,
neither do
we were
you.
Talking about, good evening, everybody, on the Four Outdoorsmen. Strewman here from Phoenix, Arizona. Just got done playing 18 holes of golf at a place called Gold Canyon. It was wonderful.
Gold Canyon. Now, where are you at in Phoenix?
Gold Canyon. We are in Chandler, and just south, about maybe 10 minutes southeast of Phoenix.
See any coyotes out there?
I don't know. So I just go up and go for a ride.
It's true. I know that we're on the Four Outdoorsmen, and for
He's
our
outdoors. He was
fans
outdoors
that are
golfing.
out there, to follow us on Facebook.com/the Four Outdoorsmen. Stu, tell our listeners the truth. You're really not golfing. You're doing some incognito work for some type of big game out there, right?
No. As a matter of fact, my buddy Bob is on Google looking for the gentlemen's clubs in Arizona here, and I don't know where we're going to go from here, but
All right.
I'm just going along for the ride.
Sure.
It's
When
good
you
time.
say gentlemen's clubs, you're talking about hunting preserves, the elk herd,
Pheasant
down there.
farms.
Yeah. Elk herd actually in the desert Southwest is getting strong. We've also got an elk population that's starting to kind of blossom here in Northwest Minnesota, but that's for another podcast
Yeah.
we'll get into.
Well, there is big elk down there.
Yeah. Well, how you doing, Strew? Are you shooting straight?
As a matter of fact, golf. If you've ever golfed at all, I love the game of golf. I consider myself a pretty good athlete, and I can shoot 4 par, bogey, par, then a frickin' 8. Then why even play? Why don't you just go to the bar? Because,
No. Why keep score? Just have fun, man.
Well,
Are you trying to get your PGA card? No. Just go out and have some fun.
Would that be a senior PGA card?
Oh my God! What's after
for me it
senior?
would, yeah. For
Now,
me it would.
Stu, do they have?
I-
Do you get an AARP discount on that golf course?
I'm going to use that instead of a bleat when I see a buck.
I got a 10-cent cup of coffee at McDonald's on the way back.
I bet you went back on the way through to get a free refill too, didn't you, buddy?
Hey, Zip,
Yeah.
I heard a voice that I sort of recognize. Who's the other host you have there?
Oh, well, actually playing the part of Stru tonight on the 4 Outdoorsmen.
The co-host.
As an outdoors person, Nicole Jacobs, you know, or you two know each other
You
very
know
well.
you're not replaceable. Oh.
No, he's
Cleavage
not.
Friend, my cleavage friend, Nicole.
Yeah.
Oh, you there?
Dude, she
I
is
am. I'm here. Hi,
Yep.
Stu.
in a bikini.
Yep.
What's happening on tonight? What's happening tonight on the 4 Outdoors?
You know, we've got Joe on from Lakes Trading Company up north. They've actually got a special. We haven't even talked about it. Let's save it for a little later in the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have Joe on from Lakes Trading Company. Our buddy Mark went up and had a great story, an experience at Lakes Trading Company he'll talk about later in the podcast. But something special just for our podcast listeners tonight. And that's pretty cool. And the man crush is in full force tonight, Drew. Jason Mitchell.
Hands out of your pockets, Mark.
Yeah.
He bought
Mark-
me lunch once.
Mark
on
will
the
be
air tonight
courting.
as well?
He'll be on tonight talking about Devil's Lake and just getting out for early ice, even though we've got some time here.
How's producer Mark Lukey going to control that board with an erection?
I had to back away from the control board.
That's how he's turning the pots up and down. He's actually using his boner, his Jason
Give me
Mitchell
too much
boner.
credit, Boomer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm at least 2 lengths of chairs away from Mark right now.
I wish that you had to
Yeah.
be that far away.
That
from
and
me.
he's
That's a
sick.
good plan.
Yeah, everybody's sick.
Yeah,
So,
I'll tell you, something interesting happened today. I've heard about these jumping cactuses or whatever they call them. You know,
Are you thinking
in
carp?
Arizona.
yeah.
I'll tell you, this actually happened today. A good friend of mine, Bob Krejci, hit his ball in the desert crap, and there's cactuses all over the place. And I'm going to help him find a golf ball, which is stupid. It costs, what's a golf ball cost? $2. And I'm go next to a cactus. I see a golf ball at the base. I went to pick it up. I literally had cactus quills, whatever you want to call those things, stuck in my shirt, my arm, and my leg. And they don't just hang on; they burrow into your body to the point where I'm telling you, this is the truth. There was a guy who lived in a house maybe 30 yards away from us, and he heard me scream. He says, "You want me to get a pliers?" This has happened before. Honest to God, he ran down with the pliers. You just can't pull these quills out of your body. They bury into your skin. He had to take a pliers and pull these things out of my body. It took about 20 minutes.
No.
And it's, if you heard about it, it's real stuff. Stay away from those cactuses in Arizona golf course.
Stu, did you get the golf ball?
Yeah, but it was a top play. Who gives a shit about a top play?
I don't know. Anybody that has to shell out $2, I guess, too. How long are you down there
Hey,
for, buddy?
How was your Thanksgiving, Zep?
Thanksgiving was good. Mission accomplished. I ate two
Too
big
much,
meals and took 2 big naps. So, yeah, mission accomplished. It was a great day and spent with some family. You know, not as much as I wanted to. The kid from Colorado will be back for Christmas here in about 10 days. So, but it was a good one. How about yourself, man?
It was wonderful but hectic. We had a great time with some of our grandkids, and Diana and I, it wasn't my idea, but someone invited 4 grandchildren to spend the entire evening at our house.
Oh.
And now I know what Boomer and Nicole and all these people go through with have kids. I forgot. When you have 4 kids between the age of 4 and, let's say, 9 or whatever, spend the entire evening, it's a roller coaster.
Yeah,
It's a tough life.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Mom and Dad probably had a very fun night getting rid of the
Oh,
kids.
that's-
You just heard us, by the way, on the 4 Outdoorsmen. Thank our sponsor, Coors Light.
Thank you.
You'll
It's
hear that from
delicious.
time to time. One of our sponsors, Coors Light. Thanks, we appreciate it.
As a matter of fact, I'm having one right now in Phoenix, Arizona, someplace.
Attaboy,
But no,
Stu.
it was a great Thanksgiving. We're very blessed. We're healthy.
Yeah.
We make a living. We can pay our bills, and whatever else happens is icing on the cake. So every day is a gift, right, Boomer?
Yes, sir. Every day's a gift. That's why they call it the present, my friend.
Now,
that was
apparently
good.
everybody was sick. So what's going on? You feeling better, Boomer?
Yeah, you know
And
what?
Mark's feeling better.
Yeah, I'm feeling better. You know, still a little jet lag when Nicole and I went down to celebrate a little bit a week away from the kids, and we decided to battle Hurricane Sandra. So that kind of put a little damper on everything. We were supposed to do a little deep sea fishing. That didn't happen. Caught up.
We had 30-foot swells. It was kind of cool watching these waves, but geez,
When you have
It
a
was
wasn't.
pretty
It was
scary.
kind of cool for 5 minutes,
Yeah,
not
I
3
mean,
days.
we got pretty lucky. This hurricane kind of missed us by like 200 miles, but still.
That's disappointing,
We
but
didn't get any sun.
I've never been in a hurricane. I mean, it's at least you get to check when the grandkids go. I was in a hurricane once. You at least get to check it off your list. Look at the glass is half full. There.
You do
Maybe.
look at it as the bucket list, but then you start to look at your flight, and then when people start to leave, and then
you're stuck in. How many movies
We
did you
watched
watch? In
6 movies
in a row.
off the iPad.
Not the same one. I hope.
Nicole, she has no idea what happens in before the show every night, every Tuesday on the 4 Outdoors. We go in the studio and have a BS for about 15, 20 minutes before the show goes on, and all we hear about from Boomer is Hurricane Nicole.
I don't doubt that.
It's true. That's a great.
Well, you haven't heard about Hurricane Boomer, so.
That's a great place to end it right there. It's true. We got to kick you off, man, because we need to open up our phone line here to call some of our guests. But, buddy, we miss you. So how long you've got another day or two left down there, you said?
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back tomorrow night. Yeah, I'm going to work tomorrow, late tomorrow afternoon, and working Saturday, Sunday, and back to the real world. So every day is a gift. That's all there is to it, my friends.
We've got a nice sunny day for you to return home to tomorrow. Safe travel, buddy, and we'll catch up on Tuesday.
Did I earn my $50?
I'm sorry.
Not yet.
I should
Not
hear.
yet, my friend.
I should hear a dial tone right now.
You're not here. See you, buddy.
Everybody. Thanks for listening to the 4 Outdoorsman. Nicole, good to have you in the studio. Take care, everybody. Have a great show, and we'll talk to you soon.
You too, Stu.
There we go. There we go.
I just want to hug him.
Yeah, isn't he?
I
He's
feel
such
like
a
he's
cunt.
been in Arizona for a month.
He's lovable. Well, it's you'd think
Grand
about it. I
Canyon?
mean, Grand Canyon. That's right. He was down there for that, and now.
Well, his
back
story
for
was
golfing.
Diana couldn't go, so he got to save money, so he got to spend it on a golf trip instead.
Oh,
That's the story.
that's how you keep a marriage happy, right
Yep.
there.
So let's call Jason right away. See
All right, let's get on, Jason. Yeah, let's get back. Yeah, enough golf talk for crying out loud. Is that another podcast they have on here, Live
Yeah.
and Social?
Is there
I
ice
looked
going
around.
down in Arizona?
Well, they have the Great Northern Sex Cast. That's one that you can look up on Alive and Social. Apples to apples, because that's the dad-son thing.
Sports.
Could
right?
you
They're
do a
covering sports.
podcast with your? Could you guys do a podcast with your dad?
No.
I
Oh
like-
my God, Boomer! It's a big. You should see the Spurs on this thing.
we gotta play
He'd
that.
probably go for 30 minutes on that.
You
turkey
could
hunt.
with Vaughn. I don't know about your dad. My
No.
dad and I, we would, within 5 minutes, we'd be yelling at each other. It's just like hunting or fishing. We can't spend 5 minutes in a blind. We can't spend 5 minutes in
Is
a
it
boat.
still going on?
without-
Are they still pheasant hunting on at Great Plains?
Absolutely.
They're still taking down some
Oh, my
Rudies, huh?
gosh. Absolutely. In fact, I think some of the best pheasant hunting is still to be had out there, and the population of the hunters goes down.
Jason speaking.
Mr. Jason Mitchell, welcome to the 4 Outdoorsman.
Hey, thank you.
Jason, Boomer, hey buddy, that was Man Crush Mark who just brought you into the show. He muted all our mics so we couldn't bring you in. So we apologize for that.
I've got a man crush on Mark.
Oh, don't say that, you teaser.
Jason, you get to hang up the phone. We have to live with him. Don't encourage him.
Oh no, man, he's got a voice for radio. I just sleep at night and listen to his recording.
I'm sure you're thinking of somebody else.
He is blushing. So, hey, Jason, thanks for joining us on the show. For our guests who just tuned into the 4 Outdoorsman on the Alive and Social on iTunes, or you can listen to us at www.the4outdoorsman.com or follow us on facebook.com/the4outdoorsman.
And I want to thank Blue 42 Media for putting a lot of our social media and website and stuff together.
Thank you.
Google them if you'd like. Blue 42 Media. They do a heck of a job.
And
for a bunch of hacks.
Oh, yes. I appreciate here's your 20s up. And so we have Jason Mitchell Outdoors Television. As you guys know, he's got a couple shows. He's talking early ice fishing with us, but he's also got a popular hunting show on Fox called Passion for the Hunt. But, Jason, where are we calling you? Where are you at today?
I'm still in Devil's Lake, still back home fishing here. So,
Yeah? How's the ice out there?
it's changing a lot. I mean, we've got ice in places that you have to use a lot of caution. I noticed a lot more open water here today out on the main lake, like the mouth of Creel. I saw a lot of open water out that direction, and so there's some places that are wide open, and I'm even seeing some Canada geese flying around, and so. But we've also got some ice in places too. I've found 5-6 inches up north of Highway 2, up in some of the backwater areas, and up in Pelican there's some ice, to walk on. You got to use a spud bar, check your way out, and use caution. But, the backwater areas and some of the sloughs have fishable ice for walking on, but that's what we're doing. We're just walking out and checking in as we go and being real diligent about safety this time of year. So.
Well, Jason, I don't know, for our listeners out there, a lot of them who watch Jason Mitchell's Outdoor Television for TV, and they also watch Passion for the Hunt, we know that you are an avid waterfowler and even still take some time to get out there and guide. How do you control yourself when you're out there on early ice and you see a big flock of geese come by? Do you have all the duck hunting stuff right there in the truck so you can run back out there and get it, or what do you do?
Well, no. I mean, usually when I'm ice fishing, but I love to do it, and so I tell you what, I get lucky sometimes, and I'll be doing something and then look over and wow, I might have to go try that tomorrow morning.
So you get to fish and scout for waterfowl at the same time, or vice versa. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've got lucky that way, or I'll be hunting and be driving down a road somewhere to check a trail camera and look over, and there's a cormorant choking on a perch or something. I mean, the more you're out and about, you're in the outdoors and you're observant, you stumble into stuff, and I'm all about stumbling at anything that I can. And so, yeah, if I'm out and about and I see a cornfield that's getting loaded up with mallards, and I can switch gears in a hurry, and that's what I love about living where I live. So.
You're in a unique area where you get to stumble into a lot of things in the Devil's Lake area, and we know from your shows that you travel around quite a bit. You're back and we're around the Midwest and some other places. Devil's Lake, we know, is home base for you. Is that just you talk about you're out there now scouting, doing a little ice and some fishing and that sort of stuff out there. So Devil's Lake, that's more than just kind of a special place, kind of home for you, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean I love it here. And what a lot of people don't realize is that I didn't grow up here as a kid. I grew up in Minot, which is in western North Dakota. And
I know Minot. I'm sorry.
and I love fishing the river, and that's what I grew up as fishing Lake Sakakawea and fishing the reservoirs out there, and I was in my late teens, early 20s, I suppose, and I fished Devil's Lake one time, and I drove home. I packed up everything, fit everything that I owned into a boat, and I drove out to Devil's Lake, and I've been living here ever since.
Talk to some of our listeners about how Devil's Lake has changed over those years from your first visit out there to what you experience today.
Well, just a lot more water. I remember when I first came to Devil's Lake, the Minnewacan Flats had just maybe gotten 10 to 15 feet deep at the most, and it was just starting to back up into Pelican Lake. And I just remember all the trees in the water. It was like the Garden of Eden. I mean, there's just all these trees with leaves on them, green trees in the water. And, I remember back then, we didn't know as much as we do now, and I wish I would have known then what I know now, obviously. But, people were scared to death to go up in those trees and fish. And I remember, every once in a while you'd hear a story of somebody taking their lower unit out on a tractor or something sitting in the water. People were scared to death to go up shallow. And I remember, one of the things that stood out is that people were, they'd go fish the old spots, the old points and the deep rock piles and stuff that were now just deeper and deeper as the water came up. And the fish really pushed into that new water, that flooded terrestrial vegetation.
Yeah.
And, when we figured that out, it was just crazy, the fish that we caught.
I love I was just going to say, I love the idea of an old North Dakota farmer out there driving the tractor out in the shallows and doing a little fishing. As a South Dakota kid, it sounds like something that we would have done.
Well, you know what it was? It was a lot more painful than that, because it was an old North Dakota farmer that had farmed that land for sometimes 3 or 4 generations.
Right.
And that tractor, they finally just had to give up on it. The water just kind of came in and overtook everything. And at first, the tractor's in a foot of water, and it was too wet to even hay. And then now it's 15 feet deep. So there's been a lot of heartbreak with the high water too.
Yeah.
That can't be overlooked either. But talk about just an incredible story. I mean, I remember as a kid, people told me about Devil's Lake being this this big body of water in the late 1800s. And when you're 10 years old, when somebody talks about something that took place 100 years ago, that seems like a long time. Like, wow, that, like the last ice age or something, But
right.
You get to be a little older, you realize that from a, geographic or geological standpoint, 100 years is nothing, And so, this lake's been going up and down for thousands of years, but, our lifespans are so short compared to, you look at the long-term geological, and the climate that changes all the time, and realize that we're just our time on this planet just a hair, and things are always changing.
Well, I tell you what, Jason, speaking of change, when we think of Devil's Lake, 15, 20 years ago, that lake was about 40-ish to 50,000 acres, and now I think it boasts to be about 200,000 acres. And would you ever have thought, Jason, that Devil's Lake would become such a mecca for fishing and just such naturally from the environment? I mean, the food, the forage base. I mean, you think of the slot limit alone on Devil's Lake, because most of the time when you're an angler, man or a woman, you think the slot limit is kind of a judge of the health of the fishery. And when you look at Devil's Lake, what is it, Jason? You can keep 5 walleyes a day with a 2-possession limit, so that's basically 10 walleyes, and there's no slot. Did you ever think that it would become such an amazing fishery? And it's been sustainable. That's what's amazing about it. As more and more anglers, men and women, hit that place, it just sustains itself.
Well, I kind of knew that it was something special because I saw that high water, and it just kept coming up and up and up. And so we just kept getting these year classes every year. And biologists have a term for it, but basically when you take a dry environment and make it wet, when you flood a dry environment, the growth rates and the fishing that you experience is phenomenal. It's kind of like a new reservoir. Remember the bass that were caught, for example, out of the Ozark reservoirs, when those reservoirs were first formed and all that, when those reservoirs are full of flooded timber and stuff, people are catching these 10-pound bass. And then as the reservoir ages, the reservoir can still be a phenomenal fishery, but the productivity declines as the reservoir ages. And so I saw that growing up as a kid on Lake Sakakawea, where the lakes would go down and up really dramatically, where the lake would literally be down 20 feet, then it would come up 10 feet, then it would go down 5 feet, then it would come up 10 feet. And so every time that lake came up, we just seen this phenomenal growth in these year classes. And so you look at Lake Oahe, Lake Sakakawea, that's kind of their story, but the highs are high and the lows are low. Devil's Lake, it just kept inching up, and it was just a special. I mean, anybody that has any background in fish biology, they look at something like that and lick their chops. I mean, it's just an incredible circumstance for fish, and it just keeps coming up and coming up. Now, I will say this: we've been, in the last 20 years, it's been incredible. If the water starts to drop over the next 20 years, a few feet each year, we're going to be in a completely different set of circumstances where we're going to see our fish productivity decline. And so as long as we've got the water, we're going to have great fishing. And I can't tell you how many years, and we've seen some phenomenal years. And I can't tell you how many times I go, it just can't get any better than this. It can't get any better. And then the following summer it would. It's just been incredible, the fishing that we've seen over the last 20 years. And I just happened to, I arrived at this place at the right time. I was, right place at the right time. And, I remember when I first started guiding, there weren't that many guides on the lake. And, just happened to hit it right and, recognized and saw what it was and what it could be. And, it's been an incredible ride, that's for sure.
Well, Jason, I want to take a step back for our listeners a little bit, because we want to talk some early ice fishing tips with you, because I know you're going to be at the St. Paul Ice Fishing Show, and you're going to be giving some free seminars, I believe, Friday and Saturday and Sunday. You're going to be talking about pan fishing and finesse versus being aggressive. But I want to take a step back a little bit and just ask you a couple questions, or one question actually is, what's new with Jason Mitchell Outdoors Television? Where you've been going? Where are you going to be going next for some future episodes? And what's been going on there?
Well, we're really going to kick it down. I mean, the amount of shows that we've got coming out is, we've got some phenomenal shows in the pipeline that'll be airing soon, and we're filming right now. We just filmed a perch show today, actually. Caught some really nice perch today, and tomorrow I'm actually going to head my way east into Minnesota and try to film some stuff over there tomorrow, and then make my way to the St. Paul show. And so I've already been on the ice a fair amount, and we're just going to keep chasing, opportunities and, things that other people can experience and enjoy as well. And that's the whole goal of our show is trying to get people out there to enjoy this resource. Fishing is just looking past it from a professional standpoint and from a business standpoint, fishing's always been such a big part of my life, and I feel like I've benefited greatly from just being outdoors. I feel like the outdoors made me a better person. I feel like, more people could stand to benefit from being outdoors. And I love what the outdoors can do for people. Being outside is good for people. And picking up a fishing rod and figuring out a lake and catching some fish and feeling that satisfaction and reward is good for anybody. And I believe this world would be a better place if more people fished. I truly believe that. And so that's the goal of our show, is we want to show people, places where they can go and experience some success, show some of the things that, that have worked for us. We don't have all the answers. We're learning stuff all the time. I consider myself a student of fishing where, I'm always trying to learn something new. And when we do learn something new, we want to share it and help other people enjoy the outdoors. And so that's the whole goal of our show and what we do. And, and we get emails and messages and letters and phone calls all the time, people that have maybe been inspired or at least helped some way from, something they've seen on our show. And that means a lot to us when we know that we can help other people find the same enjoyment that we've found, from being outside. So.
Well, I tell you what, Jason, one of the things that I really appreciate about your show is the variety of species and fishing that you do. And I know we're in ice fishing mode right now, but I mean, you go out to the Black Hills of South Dakota to chase some of those beautiful trout and the scenery out there in those Black Hills, to Devil's Lake in North Dakota and some of those smaller lakes out there, to northern Minnesota. And one thing that I think is neat with technology now when we talk about social media is not only can you watch it live on Fox, Jason, I think you're live on Saturday mornings, but you can also go back and you have a YouTube channel where I kind of can go back. And if you can't catch those tips, or if you missed an episode or didn't TiVo it, you can go to Jason's YouTube channel, download it, and just catch those tips and pause it and pick up on them.
Right. So you can pause it, rewind it, go back, and what did he say? Yeah, you bet.
So, Jason.
Yeah, well, that's what we see a lot is, a lot of people, for example, they have questions about walleye fishing, or they want to, get some insight on different ways to catch perch, whatever it is. You go on our YouTube channel and go through several years worth of footage. And my goodness, I mean, we're pushing 2 million views on our YouTube channel. That's just incredible. And so it's definitely a phenomenal resource. And it's a great way for people to learn and do it at your leisure, and don't get caught at work doing it, but it's a great resource for sure.
If you're working in the right spot, your boss is doing the same thing in his office. Jace, let's talk about First Ice and some tips you might have for our listeners. First Ice is always an exciting time to fish because it's, the bite's a little hot and it's heavy and
high oxygen levels.
Exactly. We haven't gotten into. I like it when the ice gets nice and thick and burly and cold into January and February and the tournaments are going, because then it's a little party and it's a little fishing as well. But this First Ice is always exciting. What are some tips for some guys and gals that are heading out for the First Ice?
Well, first off is safety. Use a spud bar. Like I'm wearing a lift suit. Or at least a life jacket, have ice picks, have a throw rope. We've got, it used to be where we didn't even have, good equipment to be safe on First Ice, in the sense that, the suits, they weren't made out of buoyant materials, and, you'd put a screwdriver in your pocket in just case you fell through, and you'd have a roll of rope, if you were thinking, and we're somewhat prepared. We're now, like these new throw ropes that Clam has made, ice picks, even having ice cleats is pretty important right now. Just, all you need is an auger on a drill, like a conversion kit with the Clam plates that work so well that so many people are using now, and I'll use that until the ice gets 15 inches, and so that we've got great equipment to keep us safe. And, you look at accidents that happen, a lot of times I think people get too confident in their own bearing and in their own knowledge, and they sometimes overlook safety in the sense that, well, I don't need any of that stuff because I know where I'm going. I'm going to be on 4 or 5 inches of ice. How accidents happen is when people overlook things and not realize that, I'm on a hot bite. I'm going to fish until the sun sets, and now I got to walk back, and now I'm walking back to my pickup in the dark, and everything is dark, and I don't have a light, and I get disorientated, and all of a sudden I'm walking in a place where there's a culvert or a bridge or something. I don't even realize that because I'm mixed up, my bearings are off, and accidents happen. And so, a lot of times for somebody to fall through, for the worst to happen, several things have to go wrong, and sometimes when we're hunting and fishing, those things do go wrong. And so, overestimate yourself, no matter how much you fish. And that happens sometimes, unfortunately, even to people that are really experienced. And so I'll give you an example. One time, this is an eye-opener for me, is many years ago, this is probably 15, 20 years ago, before we had GPSs. I was guiding out on the east end of Devil's Lake here, and I remember a heavy fog rolled in, and I was trying to get off the ice. And I figured I had my bearings until I drove by the same guy 4 different times. Think about that.
You must have thought he was wood ticking you, Jason, following you around, huh?
Yeah, that reminds.
No, he was probably wondering what my deal was. Like, wow, this guy's still driving by me, And finally, I made my way to a shoreline, and I got close enough where I recognized it. And then I followed the shoreline until I knew where a highway was, and then I could see lights on cars. But it was so foggy out in the lake that day that I was basically lost, And so that happens. And so make sure that you have safety. So first ice, always prioritize safety. I like to have at least 3 inches to walk on, if not more. And I want to make sure, because with 3 inches of ice, there's no room for error. In the sense that if you stumble across a place where some geese kept the water open, or where there's an aerator, or where there's a culvert and there's some water moving, now all of a sudden that 3 inches turns into 1.5 inches. And you're walking along and not even realize it, and all of a sudden your friend walks up to you, or you walk into a bad spot. So bad things can happen. So you got to be diligent and you got to be observant, and have the right mentality where you're going to prioritize safety, because it's not worth getting hurt over a fish or worse. And sometimes people try to make getting out on the ice like a contest. Like, I'm a bigger man than you because I got out on the ice. No, it isn't a contest. We've got all winter. We get plenty of winter in the Dakotas and plenty of winter in the Minnesota. And so make sure that you're safe. So that's the first thing I want to touch on with first ice. Now, here's an observation that I'll throw out there that I've been seeing this fall that's really influencing my fishing. Before these lakes froze over up here, we had really, really strong west winds, really strong winds. And it doesn't happen every year, but some years this happens where you get really strong winds and it really churns up the water right before it freezes. And so there's places where I'm drilling holes and the water's really milky and cloudy and really dirty. I typically don't do as well when that water is dirty or cloudy. It's kind of like fishing a muddy river. What's the best way to fish a muddy river, in my opinion, is to go upriver or downriver to see if you can get out of the mud. Same thing with early ice. Try to find lakes, try to find bays, try to find locations that were somehow secluded or protected from that strong wind where they're not as churned up. If you can be on an average spot with good visibility and catch a lot more fish than if you're on top of all kinds of fish, but the water visibility is really poor.
Does it help if you move towards the west end of that body of water where it may not have?
Sometimes, or sometimes just a deeper trough, or it's just a different slough, whatever. I mean, I've fished a lot of water this winter so far that milky, cloudy, and I'm catching fish here and a fish there, but I'm not really getting on fish. And then I go 5 miles away or 20 miles away and fish to different water, and for whatever reason it throws up at a different time, or it was protected from the wind a little bit differently, or had a different type of bottom where it gets churned up, or maybe it's a little bit deeper water that didn't get quite as mixed up with that heavy wind, and I'm finding cleaner water, and then I'm finding fish that are biting, that want to play. And so that's probably the biggest thing that I'm noticing this year, is that I'm finding a lot of places with cloudy, stained water, and I'm struggling in that type of spots. So when I'm drilling holes and I'm seeing that, I'm just getting out of there. I'm not even burning up any more time, and I'm just trying to find that right watercolor. And so that's been the ticket so far this winter.
So, Jason, besides, looking at the water clarity and where the wind is blowing into that and trying to move away from that more muddy-ish, darker water, do you look at kind of the jig profile or lure profile that you're going to be using earlier in the season? Sometimes, with the high oxygen levels, fish are going to be probably a little more aggressive. Are you using a bigger jig profile right away, or a bigger size darter, or an epoxy dropper? What do you do for jig selection early in the season?
I am fishing big, and the reason being is that I'm on fresh ice. There's been nobody out there, and my mentality is if I'm on a slough, for example, and I'm drilling holes and I'm the only tracks, I'm the only person that's fished that water. If there's, say, 50 perch living in an area, or if there's a big school of fish along a particular contour on a shoreline, I just have to find them and they have to find me. It's not rocket science. And so I've been using that rattling blade spoon quite a bit, that clam rattling blade spoon, and I've been lifting it up 5-6 feet off the bottom, letting it drop. I'm trying to call fish in with it. And my mentality is that, you know what, all I need is a few dummies to come running over to check me out. And now, boom, I'm marking fish. I know that there's life here. And I'll slow down and fish it through. And until I find, and that's how I find fish. And with the smaller presentations, you can trigger fish very well, and you can trigger fish that maybe don't want to eat. But it's a lot harder to find fish because they can't see you from as far away. It doesn't drop as fast. You can't cover as much water. So that's been the program for me. Is I've been fishing the bigger spoons, and I've been just trying to eliminate water. There's all kinds of spots where I can tell you there aren't any fish, or they're not biting. I'm just trying to find the biters in those active schools. And when you do find them, I mean, you know, you'll find them. I mean, today, I mean, there's times where I had 3-4 feet of fish below me, and it was one fish after another. It wasn't in every hole. You know, you have to find them and use a presentation where, you know, if you can imagine, there could be a school of fish cruising by, because those perch are just running up and down these shorelines, and you know, they might be able to see you from, say, 20, 30 feet away in some of these clearer lakes, you know, where you can find that good water visibility. And that's why that's so important, is that they can see you from further away. And so you greatly increase the amount of water that you cover every time you drop down a hole. When you have good water color, you've got a lure that they can see from a long ways, and you're fishing that lure in a fashion where they can find and see you from a long ways. And you know, they're going to come over and look at you. And the more fish you can get to come over, pretty soon all of a sudden you got 3 feet of fish stacked up below you, and they're racing up to beat each other to catch you. It doesn't matter what you use at that point. But the whole key is you got to get into that rhythm and find the fish and create that atmosphere to get that. And that's where you know, the spoons, you know, are working so much better for that type of situation versus a tiny horizontal jig or a real small finesse presentation. It's not that that doesn't catch fish, because it will. It's just that it's so much harder to eliminate all this water looking at a 6 to 8 inch hole at a time, when even when you're on a backwater, a slough that's 1,000 acres, you know, you're still trying to find a fish, you know, drilling one hole at a time. And so that enables you to do it very efficiently as possible.
So for our listeners who had just tuned into the 4 Outdoorsmen here on AliveAndSocial.com or the 4Outdoorsmen.com or the Spreaker Network, we have Jason Mitchell from Jason Mitchell Outdoors Television and Passion for the Hunt On, talking some early ice fishing tips. And Jason, if I were to try to summarize it for our listeners, the first thing is safety. Don't forget, it's still early ice. Make sure you have all the safety devices with you. Don't be overconfident, even if you know that lake really well. Make sure that you're out of the muddy waters where the water clarity isn't so good right now, and you're using a little bit of a bigger jig profile to try to bring in some of those fish as you can try to find where they're going to be on the water. Is that kind of a fair assessment?
Yeah, that's what we're doing right now up here on these prairie lakes, you know, that are windswept, you know, around Devil's Lake here. You know, I'm going to be heading over to Minnesota tomorrow, and so I can almost guarantee it's going to be a whole different deal tomorrow. I'm going to have to relearn everything tomorrow, you know, but I would guess that we're going to probably be fishing green weeds, you know, that sharp break, probably next to the shore, places that are easy to get to from walking out. And it sounds like they got a lot of snow. I was looking at heading over to that Detroit Lakes, Fergus Falls area, Otter Tail country tomorrow. Yep. And sounds like there's some snow on the ice there, so that's, you know, that makes it even tougher because you know, it's harder to read the ice, and so we're going to have to be a lot more careful. But, you know, probably the biggest thing is just be careful. And I don't want to, I guess I don't want to create this illusion that, you know, there's all these ice fishing opportunities all over right now, because I know there's a lot of places where people have lost ice, or, you know, they got a little bit of skim ice, and then now it's warming up again, and now there's snow on top of the ice. And so, you know, we're probably, you know, from where people are listening right now, especially in the Twin Cities area, you know, we're probably still just a little ways away from having safe ice in a lot of places. Yeah. You get north a ways or west a ways, you know, you start seeing more ice, you know, but, you know, I'm guessing that, you know, we're going to try to maybe film some bluegill and crappie stuff tomorrow. And, you know, that's going to be smaller stuff. That's going to be, you know, more of a surgical fishing typically, where we're going to be focusing on green weeds. We're going to be trying to find those, you know, those stands of coontail that are still green and still tall, and you know, and fishing around those, and trying to pull those fish out of the weeds in places that are probably close to areas that we can walk to, you know, and that's one thing that I try to do too, is try to try to find. I don't try to outthink things in the sense that I'm trying to find locations that I can walk to from maybe 300 yards, 400 yards at the most. I don't want to be walking a half a mile across the lake right now. I want to park my pickup and drag my fish trap down to the ice 20 yards and then walk out 60 yards to where I can fish, and check the ice as I go and just kind of fish close to wherever I'm at. And that's going to be my strategy tomorrow. I'm not going to get real aggressive that way. I'm just going to try to think of good spots that I can park a pickup close to where there's going to be good ice and find good weeds and typically the beauty of first ice is you're the first person to crack those fish in a long time.
Well, Jason,
so you're fishing fresh fish.
Well, I tell you what, Jason, we really appreciate you being on the show. We know you got a trip out east, and again, for our listeners who just tuned in, don't forget to watch Jason Mitchell Outdoors TV, Fox on Saturdays. Subscribe to his Facebook; you'll get tips there. Go to his YouTube channel. But Jason, we're going to have to let you go because we're starting to get uncomfortable in the room with Mark right now. And he's been hearing your voice for way too long. So
he's already taken off the top layer. He's down to the base layer now. No, Jason,
thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, my gosh,
Thanks,
Jason. Have another great cold water season, or hard water season, rather. And you'll be down at the St. Paul Ice Fishing Show this weekend. Are you doing some seminars then?
Absolutely.
All
I'll
right.
be giving seminars each day. Looking forward to seeing a lot of ice fishermen.
When you get in there, as soon as you walk through the door, you'll have the program right there. Go over and say hi to Jason. Tell him you enjoyed the podcast on the Four Outdoorsmen. Have a great hard water season. Great information as always, Jason. And thank you for being a part of the show tonight.
Hey, thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
And what Jason was talking about this early ice, I know that he's one of those guys where I lose track of the clock because it's good, solid information. I mean, the guy just goes and goes and goes. And you just keep thinking to yourself, well, we got to move on with some other things in the show, but it's all such good information. But we didn't quite get the cold temperatures we wanted. Now with the clearing skies, the temperatures dropping here in Minnesota, unfortunately, farther north of the metro, all the way up into the Bemidji area, they got about a foot to 14 inches of snow in some areas, which is going to create that insulation. So the cold temps aren't going to give you the ice you want. We're just going to have to be a little more patient.
Well, and speaking of those warmer temps, I want to give a big shout out to the boys and girls in St. Peter, Minnesota, Alumacraft Boats, who's been a great sponsor of you guys and us at the Four Outdoorsmen, right? And you guys know
mostly of you. No,
and you guys know, but I love that Alumacraft Tournament Pro 195. And as you're still looking for boats, it's still a great time to buy. A lot of folks that have been using their boats all year have them for sale. And don't forget to look for the new Alumacraft boat catalog. It's got all of next year's models. So if you want to learn more about Alumacraft, go to alumacraft.com or visit a dealer near you. And I think, Marky, our next guest is going to be Joe from Lakes Trading Company, right?
Hopefully we got him. I know he was at a swim meet or something with his daughter, so we'll pull him away for a little bit.
All right. God, you think about that, Zepp White.
Joe, is this you?
Hello.
Oh, we got him.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, Joe.
Hey, Joe. This is Mark with the Four Outdoorsmen. Thank you very much for being on with us. I just wanted to tell a quick story. I came up to visit you a couple days ago with my dad, and we had a great time. And I just want to explain the importance of testing a gun.
This is going to be great.
Now, I bought a gun at another place, unfortunately, and I came up there to test it out. And I've been carrying it for about 2 months. I have a concealed permit. And I'm like, well, I better try this thing out. I go to shoot at Lakes Trading Company, and I hear a click. And I try again. I reload. I reposition the mag, everything, and I hear another click. And I'm going,
I hope this is bad ammo.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go ask a guy why my gun isn't firing, and he's going to tell me the safety's on or something. I have that deep-seated fear, like I'm going to look like a total
You don't
idiot.
hear a click with the safety on.
Yeah. So the guys at Lakes Trading Company took a look. They ripped it apart in about 2 seconds, told me exactly what was going on. Apparently the hammer wasn't going all the way forward, so I knew exactly what was going on, and they were so helpful. And another thing I wanted to say is I was sighting in my deer rifle. We talked about sighting in. They threw on a bore sight, and they got me right on. I mean, I was at my in-laws' farm fiddling around for a long time, but they threw a laser on there, and I got it sighted. So I was ready to go. I just want to say thank you, and it's a great service you guys have up there in Forest Lake.
Yeah, no problem. We try to offer what we can. So.
And thank you for helping out producer Mark.
That's the most I've talked in about 6 episodes, so I'm proud of myself.
Well, you just got done listening to Jason Mitchell. He was inspired.
Yeah,
He's a little in a daze here, Joe. We apologize.
So the reason we're having you on, Joe, is we heard that you're having a special right now for permit to carry classes. Can you tell us a little bit more about that special that you're offering right now for our listeners?
Yeah, so what we decided to do is offer $30 off any of our carry classes. Normally they're $115 for a new permit, $90 for a renewal. So if you go on to our website, type in outdoorsman in the coupon code, all the outdoorsman listeners are going to get $30 off.
Most of the people I talk to, Joe, that don't have their permit to carry or aren't really experienced handgun shooters, but are interested in getting their permit to carry, are a bit intimidated by the process. They think, I shoot a little bit. I'm out at the farm, or I go to the range every once in a while. Permit to carry, there's a big test, and you probably have to do a quick draw or whatever. Explain to people that aren't, and I know a lot of guys that have been hunting their entire lives, but handguns are kind of a different breed of animal. Right. Explain to them a little bit how the permit to carry, because it's, once you go through it, you go, is that it? That's it. Now I've got a permit and I can go. Explain to them a little bit about the process.
Right. So if you're interested in getting your permit to carry, the class that we offer is not an intro class. So we do expect people to be able to handle guns proficiently and safely and actually be able to shoot them. We qualify at 21 feet. So basically you sit through the class with us. There's no written test. We just go through laws. We go through situations. And then we do some Q&A. And then after that, we go into the range. We shoot 20 rounds at 21 feet is our qualifying. And we expect 100% proficiency when we shoot. Once the qualifying is done, you take your certificate you get from us. You bring it to the county. You apply for your permit there, and within 30 days, you should get your permit. At that point, you can start carrying a firearm once your permit's received, not once you've applied. And then every 5 years, you got to go through that process again.
Joe, you talked about shooting at 21 feet and you need 100% proficiency. Can you expand on that a little bit as I've gone through a permit to carry class as well? But what is that for our listeners? Do they have like a professional like yourself right next to them so they feel comfortable? And what's the environment they're shooting in?
Yeah, so every instructor is allowed to set their own course of fire to a certain point. We have chosen to shoot 15 to 21 feet because most close encounters are going to happen at that point. We are going to have somebody with you during the qualifying, so we'll have an instructor standing behind you watching you shoot. And then basically we shoot an 11 by 17 piece of paper at 21 feet, and you just shoot at your own pace. And then we shoot another magazine a little quicker, more of a rapid fire. And then once you hit the paper, we score them up, and that's it. So, I mean, we try not to be high pressure. You're not going to draw from a holster. You're not going to be doing anything crazy. We just want you to be able to use your gun and know that you're going to be confident in it when you need to use it in real life. If you have to, hopefully no one ever has to.
Do you encourage or is it required that you have your own firearm, or can you rent one or provide one for conceal and carry?
Yeah, in our class, we will provide you a firearm if you don't have one. You just have to purchase the ammo for the gun that you want to shoot. Mm-hmm. If you do have your own, we recommend people bring in something that they're comfortable with.
Of course, yeah.
Our qualifying, we like to see 380 or higher. We won't qualify anybody with a .22 long rifle pistol. We want to feel that the cartridge you're using is going to be capable of being used in self-defense.
Joe, how long is the typical class? You talked about doing some class work, some Q&A, and then you shoot. How much time does the listener commit to this process when they want to go out and get their conceal and carry with the special at Lakes Trading Company?
You're going to be with us for 4.5 to 5.5 hours, depending on class size and how many people need to shoot, as well as how long the Q&A goes.
Cool. And where do they find out information about when the classes are offered? How do they contact you and that good stuff?
LakesTradingCo.com is our website. You can go on there. We do have a training tab that you can hover over. If you click on our permit to carry page, all of our classes are listed out by month through October of 2016 at this point. So we offer Saturday classes as well as weekday classes. We have a Thursday night that goes twice a month, as well as we are going to be adding a Friday night class once a month as well. We teach 2 Saturdays. So you have 4 to 5 classes per month to choose from. You only have to take one.
And Friday
And
night
then-
is ladies' night, isn't it?
Friday night is ladies' night, so you can come in after that and shoot with the ladies in the range.
Nice. What I want to make sure our listeners know again about how they can take advantage of this deal for their permit to carry, this discount.
Say that again?
I just want to make sure our listeners know. They just mentioned the 4 Outdoorsmen. I'm sorry when you first mentioned it about how they can take advantage of the discount for the conceal and carry permit.
So for the listeners, they do have to go through our website in order to get the deal, and it is a coupon code. So when you go to our website, you'll add a class to your cart, and then when you check in, you'll have to register yourself, name, phone number, email address, regular address, all that stuff. And then right before you check out, when you put in your payment options, at the very bottom, there's a spot for a coupon code. If you type out Outdoorsman, hit apply, it'll automatically take that $30 charge off of there, and it'll be an $85 class.
For you crazy
Nice.
kids listening, we'll make sure we get that on our Facebook page and our website.
And being a big fat guy, this is my concern. You also provide lunch, correct?
Yes, all of our classes we provide food. So
Is it
Saturday
all you can
classes,
eat?
We'll provide lunch, and then weeknight classes we actually provide pizza from a local restaurant.
Ooh,
You're going to have my lunch, Mark.
Oh, okay.
nice.
And Forest Lake, just a hop and a skip up the road. I'm always amazed that Anoka is such a far drive and Forest Lake is such a quick drive. I always think it's going to be the other way around. We were talking about that before the show. You're like, oh, just zoom up to Anoka, and suddenly it feels like you're driving to North Dakota. And then when I'm driving to Forest Lake, I'm like, oh, I'm here already. So it's a hop and a skip. It's Lakes Trading Company, lakestradingco.com. And you just heard Joe talk about how you can receive your discount for your conceal and permit carry. It really is. It sounds a little intimidating. Even when Joe explains it, I even thought, well, that sounds a lot. But you won't believe how easily it is to get through a course like this. And what if,
And if
Joe...
anybody has, if anybody has any questions, they can always feel free to contact one of us at the gun shop, and we can help walk them through the process.
You know, I never asked about this, but what if someone pays for the conceal and carry and they flunk the first time? They don't get 100% on their targets. Is that something that you have to pay for all over again and come back on a different day and start the process all over?
So what happens is 95% of our students will qualify and walk out with their certificate the first time through. The 5% that don't make it, our goal at the gun shop and in our training classes is to help you succeed. So if you don't pass the first time, we have you come back. We have you requalify as many times as it takes. Usually the second or third time you come back, if it takes you that many, we don't charge you for range time. If it takes more than 3 times, then we recommend you practice. We'll spend a little bit of time
Don't
with you in
pick
the
up a
range.
gun ever
And
again.
then-
You have to wear a clown nose.
Dunce cap.
Brian Clawwitter, the nose.
Right, exactly. Well, that's... And I'm sorry.
And I mean, the end game is we just want people to walk out being confident and knowing that if they have to use their firearm in a defensive situation, that they know how it works, they know they can shoot it accurately, and they know what to do in the situations that they're going to be put in. So
There you go.
LakesTradingCompany.com. Thanks, Joe, for your support of the 4 Outdoorsmen, and we'll send some folks your way. Thank you. And good luck.
Thanks, guys.
How's the kid doing at the swim meet tonight?
swim lessons went great.
Oh,
He loves
lessons.
them, and,
Mark said
hopefully-
meat. I thought there was some heavy competition.
I'm a
but
competitive person.
I understand. So, all right, good. You better go check on her.
all right, sounds good.
Thanks,
guys.
Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Wow.
That's
That
it.
hour's already up. That was quick, huh?
It zooms by. Jason Mitchell. Download the podcast. Let your friends know about the podcast. I'll tell you, there is a wealth of information because before I go out ice fishing, I'm actually going to download the 4 Outdoorsmen podcast and listen to Jason Mitchell again.
Gosh, a lot of tips about what kind of water clarity you should be in, safety, jig
Be
profile.
safe, yeah.
Man, be safe out there.
And we're all getting excited, but be safe, but get outdoors and have a good time. I want to thank our special guest tonight. You talk about a motor mouth. That
Yeah, I
Nicole
really-
Jacobs.
It's the quietest she's ever
Just
been.
Yeah, that's true. We usually fight over the mic, don't we, Boomer?
Yes.
And I can't wait to hear how Stru's last round of golf went next Tuesday night on the 4 Outdoorsmen on AliveAndSocial.com. Please share it on your social media.